we went in there and participated in that hunt. I was able to harvest a moose. It was super exciting and it was super awesome, but it was another example of when conservation is used properly. There's a mission, there's a plan, and there's things done right. But all of this is funded because of people like you that buy your hunting and fishing licenses. And a lot of people don't know that. We come from Flint, Michigan. If anyone has heard about our water, it's questionable. But what people don't realize is that water is being cleaned up right now from funds raised from duck hunters. Because we're the ones that treat it like the resource that it is. Water is important to us. Lake Erie, before I was born, apparently was on fire. I don't know if any of you remember hearing about that, but Lake Erie was on fire at one point because of the pollution. But because of conservation dollars raised by hunters and fishermen who said, hey, there's no more ducks. There's no more beavers for us to trap. Everything's polluted. There's no more walleye. There's no more fish. Because of us, our funds raised, we were able to bring those populations back. And this is basically why we started the Greenway Outdoors. To be honest with you, I don't care about the TV show. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is 60% of hunting and fishing licenses are sold to white males over the age of 55. 60%, which I just told you all the reasons why those funds are so important. And if 60% of them are coming from funds of, that means the youngest person in that group is 55 and the oldest is probably in his 90s. So if that's the case, how are we going to replace that? Now, I mentioned in that video that you guys saw that it represents the outdoor industry, 3% of our nation's GDP. For those of you wondering what that means, that's more than oil. It's that important to this country. It's more than oil. So with that, we said, how are we going to replace that demographic with a younger audience? And that's why we started the Greenway Outdoors. We did some market research at the time, and we said, how do you reach this generation? Because this is all I care about. I live, sleep, breathe, and eat this. And we realized that it's through content, media content. We said, okay, well, what kind of content do they consume? What do they like? And the number one thing, which surprised me, was actually cooking content. They liked cooking shows. This is 7 years ago I've been building this, so it might be a little bit different now. And number two is reality shows. So we built every single episode to look like this. We cover the conservation of the species, and I'm sure you've heard enough of that from me today, but the conservation of the species that we're targeting in the episode, decriminalizing the hunt, and actually engaging people to understand what conservation is. If I go hunt a wild turkey, and I buy that turkey tag, and I join the National Wild Turkey Federation, there are more turkeys because I hunted, and that is important for people to know. Then we cover the gear that you need for the hunting or fishing trip, making it accessible for someone who's never done it before. Says, what do I need? Well, here's the hunting and fishing gear that you need for this specific trip. We show you the hunting or fishing trip in a reality show style format, and then after we do that, we have the cooking studio in Auburn Hills, Michigan, where we show you how to cook it, and then we include a Bible verse to plant mustard seeds with as many people as we possibly can, and we give you a moral lesson that we learned in the field. And I do it in a little bit of a trickster way. See, not everybody's a believer that watches our show, but I give them the moral lesson that I learned on the show. They relate to me because they saw it in the show for themselves, and then I sneak in a Bible verse, and by then they already believe and they didn't even know it yet. And that is the outline of the Greenway Outdoors, and that is our passion.